Good morning. Welcome to Sunday. I am your one-eyed Dharma teacher this morning. Welcome to the people I can see on Zoom and to the people who I cannot see on Facebook. I'm sorry I cut you all off just now. I hope you came back. And greetings to the people on YouTube who may be watching this later. So today we're going to continue our romp through the Eightfold Path. And today we are on the fourth element, which is right action. But first we're going to meditate for some period of time. And I thought I would offer a little meditation technique that I learned, which was described to me as the one breath reset. The simple version of the meditation instruction is we find a posture that works for us, and we bring our attention to our breathing, and we focus there, stay focused as best we can. Inevitably, the mind wanders off. There is nothing you can do about it. Don't worry about it. People say, I'm trying to get my mind to stop, and I'm like, good luck with that. But when we notice, we come back. And one of the things that helps us stay focused is the one breath reset. When the mind is off thinking, it's in like stories and plans and blah, 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 some sort of narrative. The one breath reset, on the in-breath you say no, on the out-breath you say story. You do that as often as you need to. Just no story. It helps bring you back into the present moment in your body, which isn't telling you a story, it's just being your body. There is no story. There's just now, and whatever is happening now. So, with that, why don't we begin our meditation? So why don't we start by finding a comfortable meditation posture in which you can be alert but relaxed. If you're sitting, just let your body relax into gravity. Let your shoulders drop. I want to tuck in your chin just a little bit without stretching the muscles in your neck and shoulders. And you tuck in your chin a little bit, and it's like there's a string at the top of the crown of your head just pulling up a little. As I said, without straining or stretching the muscles. That helps straighten the top of your spine. And let's start just by lowering our gaze. It's like you're looking down the bridge of your nose, and that helps relax the muscles around your eyes. And gently close your eyes. And let's take a few slow, deep breaths, about 3/4. Just to help us connect to the breath and the body. And as you're breathing out, just notice how you're feeling in your body at this moment. As best you can. Another slow, deep breath, and maybe pause for just a split moment at the top of the in-breath. And on the out-breath, just begin the process of relaxing and softening your body. Maybe a slight pause at the end of the exhale. Just notice your body transitioning to an inhale. And as you breathe out, just continuing the process. Notice wherever you might be tight or tense. And as best you can without any pressure. Just relax. A little more, have a little intention to bring a little more softness to any place where you notice holding or stress. And letting your breath return to normal. Just letting yourself be aware of the sensations of the body breathing. Noticing the sensations of the chest and belly expanding, and maybe the shoulders rising a little as you breathe in. And noticing the sensations of your chest relaxing and your shoulders falling a little bit as you breathe out. Just being aware of receiving the in-breath, letting go of the out-breath, just normal breathing, and observing. And letting your attention rest on the breath. Some people do that by focusing on the sensations of the air moving in and out of your nose. Some people focus on the sensations of the chest or the belly moving up and down. Some people focus on just the overall global experience of the body breathing. Whatever works, whatever's easy. Just noticing what it's like to be in this body, breathing in and breathing out. When you notice your mind has wandered off as thoughts come and go, if it works for you, just try the one breath reset. As you breathe in, you can say to yourself, no. And as you breathe out, story. No story. Just the present moment. thoughts arise, feelings come and go. There's no story happening in the present moment. It's just you sitting in your body. The mind may think to somewhere else or some story or narrative. But on the in-breath, just say now. And on the out-breath, story. No story. Just being here in the simplicity of the moment with the body breathing. And as we come to the end of this sitting, I invite you to notice what it feels like in this moment to be resting in the present moment. Not actually in whatever story that part of your mind is constructing, just here, now, in the simplicity of this moment. And I invite you to take whatever benefit you may be receiving from this practice. Let it help you view the world through kind eyes, to practice self-compassion as a basis for broader compassion with the world around you. To walk through the world with kindness and presence. And may it be that the benefits of this practice radiate from us into our households, into our neighborhoods, into the world around us. And may it be that the benefits of this practice help to inform the way we interact with people, from our intimate partners to the checkout person at the grocery store. May it be that we can bring more centeredness, presence, kindness, into the world. May the benefits of this practice be of benefit to all beings everywhere. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe. May all beings be at ease and at peace. Thank you for your practice. Again, I apologize to anybody who'd been watching on Facebook. I've gotten a message from one or two people over the past few weeks asking if I could actually start the Facebook feed just a couple of minutes early. So I tried doing that, and I tried doing that by sharing a picture of a lotus blossom on the screen while I was getting ready to doing things here. And on both occasions when I went to stop this screen sharing, it cut off the whole feed. So I have not perfected that yet, but I'm working on it. And my apologies to anybody I may have cut off. So, as usual, I put the usual information on the chat, and I will post it on Facebook and YouTube. My contact information, my email address, my website, the information on how to find these talks on Sunday mornings and on YouTube. And if you feel so moved, there is no obligation of any kind at all, ever. But if you feel so moved, there's a link to make a donation. So this week we're continuing our walk through the Eightfold Path. And just by way of review, when Buddha awakened, he was not sure how to explain what it was that he had experienced and learned. And when a small group of monks who he had practiced with before pushed him to do so, he ended up coming up with the Four Noble Truths in the Eightfold Path. And noble truths are that life includes suffering or dissatisfaction or grief, and that there's a solution to that. There's a cause to that, there's a solution to that, and the fourth noble truth is that this is the solution, it's the Eightfold Path. And the thing to remember about the Eightfold Path, it's not a question of do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, then do this. It's a set of practices that we engage. And we don't expect perfection, we just expect to practice. And I keep coming back to the legendary cellist Pablo Casals when asked why he still practiced 8 to 10 hours a day. He said, I might be getting better at it. So we do the best we can. And the 8 elements of the Eightfold Path are right understanding or right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And so far we have covered right understanding, right intention, and right speech. And today we're going to talk about right action. And I want to emphasize that none of this is an opportunity to be hard on ourselves for not measuring up to whatever way we think we should be measuring up with these practices or any others. These are pointers. And when there's a finger pointing at the moon, you should be, the thing to do is to look at the moon, not the finger. And it's easy to get distracted as to whether or not we're doing it right, or whether or not we're doing enough of it, or whether I fall short on this or that. We know what our intention is, and we're doing the best we can to walk the path. So right action speaks to how we act in the world. And, I didn't write down the attribution for this, and I apologize. It came from a monk who wrote an essay in Tricycle, who defined right action aims at promoting moral, honorable, and peaceful conduct. It suggests we should abstain from destroying life, from stealing, from dishonest dealings, from sexual harm, and that we should help others to lead peaceful and honorable lives. Essentially, and I'll post on the Facebook page where I got that from. I have to look that up again. Essentially, we're leaning into behaviors that help us open our hearts rather than contracting. Looking at the activities of body, speech, and mind to bring peace and well-being to ourselves and the world around us. And right action is centered around doing no harm. The principle of do no harm. Acting with compassion and care. And it's one of the places in the Dharma where the precepts are stated. There's 5 main precepts. There's actually, I can't remember, like 70 some out in all, but there's 5 main precepts, 4 of which are specifically named in the principle of right action. And to me, what's important about that, among other things, there's a lot of central themes that show up in the Dharma over and over and over and over again, which speaks to their importance and their profundity. It also speaks to the general repetitive nature of spiritual practice. We just have to keep practicing and learning it and hearing it and practicing it over and over again. So the precepts, as laid out in the principle of right action, is not kill, to not take what is not given, that is, don't steal, to not cause harm with our sexuality, and to not lie. And I'm going to unpack those just a little bit. And you can look at the precepts as trainings rather than moral edicts. You know, we're training the mind and the heart to view the world from the point of view of doing no harm. And rather than seeing these things as abstractly moralistic, we can see these precepts as movement towards no harm and liberation. Because if the aim of meditation is to live a calmer, more centered existence, right action helps to support that. By helping us live a life that is free from the tensions of dishonesty and harm and regret, it relieves us of the tension of feeling like we have to live in denial or have to explain away behaviors that don't promote well-being ourselves or others. And maybe more importantly, as with right speech, right action relieves us of the inner tension that comes with unkindness and discompassion. Everybody who participates in these sessions or in any Dharma session or meditation, they're trying to be the person they most want to be. Right action speaks to that. So, the first precept in right action is not to kill, not to cause injury. And there's various ways to parse that. There are some who say no harm to insects, no harm to animals, no harm, blah, 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 blah. I'm not sure all that's even possible. When I was traveling in India, there was a Tibetan nun from Australia. Her name was Venerable Robina. Robina had 2 speeds, fast and stop. She was just like on in your face all the time. And she was explaining to this guy who was a shrimper that was actually outside of the do no harm. And I get that point of view, but I don't agree with that. We walk on the grass and we kill the insects and the bacteria, and there's nothing we can do about that. But the principle of intending no harm, and we all have to discover what that means for us. For example, if the termites are destroying your house, would you fumigate? Probably. There's the legend, some of which is true and some of which is not, of Sergeant York during World War I, and he was a pacifist who got drafted. And he ended up, he got famous because he took out a machine gun nest that was firing on the American and British soldiers. And somebody asked him, well, you were against killing, how could you do that? And he basically said he was leaning into the greater good because dozens of people were dying and it had to stop, and that meant this is what had to happen. So, do no harm and not killing, not causing injury, we have to weigh that. It's an opportunity for some deep reflection. When I was on a retreat at a place called Land of Medicine Buddha, which is a Tibetan retreat center, near Santa Cruz, California, they were building an extension onto the dormitory area. And there were actually monks and nuns digging up the worms and taking them somewhere else so they wouldn't be killed in the excavation. You can do that. But here in the West, we don't go digging up the insects and the gophers and the worms when we're building the foundation to a house. So we have to decide what that means to us. Not taking what is not given, not stealing. The corollary to not taking what is not given is generosity. Generosity includes, implies no obligation in giving what's not asked for. So, and as a training, not taking what's not giving gives us an opportunity to explore the area of contentment. Do I need that? To develop the qualities of being able to move through the world wanting and needing less. Free from the compulsion to just have more, want more. In the monastic practices, it's very clearly defined. Like, for example, if you went to say a potluck and there was food on the table, in the monastic tradition, you would not take anything until someone came up and verbally offered it to you. We don't do that. But if you look at the intention of that sort of practice, it suggests learning restraint, which is something we don't like to talk about here in the West. But the idea of not taking what's not given is not stealing, true, and learning to be okay with our wants, needs, and desires and compulsions without having to act on them. The next precept is not causing harm with our sexuality. If you want to look at the consequences of sexual harm, you don't have to look much further than the Me Too movement. It's more than just fidelity or manipulation or sexual dishonesty. It includes sexual harassment, workplace or otherwise, taking advantage of power differentials for sexual gratification. I used to read I used to get one of the therapist magazines in California because I was a member of the association, and there are all the disciplinary actions in the back of the magazine. And about a quarter of them had to do with some sort of sexual acting out on the part of the therapist. Big no-no to have sex with a client. The vessel is broken. It's just a horrible thing to do. But one of the things that came out is there's that power differential, which some people exploited for sexual acting out. In the workplace, that can happen. There's various places that can happen. So not taking advantage of whatever power differential may exist, and either real or imagined. And in the 12-step tradition, there's a thing called 13th stepping, which is taking sexual advantage of vulnerable newcomers, which speaks to the power differential, which speaks to sexual manipulation. Because in the 12-step environments, we show up and we help each other, and we show up for each other, and we listen, and there's the tradition of sponsorship and lineage, and there are people every now and then who turn that into sexual opportunity, and there are 47 ways in which that is absolutely wrong. But it happens. So, not causing harm with our sexuality. And the fourth precept is not lying, which includes right speech, which I covered last week, refraining from harmful or false speech to ourselves and to others. Last week I talked a lot about the way we talk to ourselves, and suggested bringing more gentleness and compassion and honesty. Being honest with ourselves. I mean, denial has its place, and there are people who couldn't breathe in and out all day without some level of denial. But we can't live in it forever. So not lying to ourselves, not lying to others. I have a friend in the 12-step thing who says his higher power is the truth, because it's the thing you can't argue with. The truth is the truth. And it's just easier to live in it. So, those are the four precepts. that constitute right action. And as I said before, what this amounts to is living in such a way that we are not experiencing the stress and tension of not being the person we're trying to be, of not having to explain things, of not having to be denial about who we are and what we do. The Eightfold Path is a kind of a gathering that leads to a kind of a centering, and right action in the world promotes that. So, as usual, I invite you to be kind and gentle with yourself. And take these as an opportunity for mindfulness, and refrain from taking these as an opportunity to be hard on yourselves for the moments that you don't measure up to what you think you should be measuring up to. Because we all come up short in our own minds from time to time. And if I would add anything to right action, I would add gentleness. Gentleness, just be kind and gentle with yourself. That's part of doing no harm. So, thank you for your kind attention. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay then. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.